Listen, I want to share something with you. I went to purchase a new phone yesterday, and the whole interaction with the salesperson, the people at the store, was an experience that confirmed, reinforced for me why learning the language is such an asset to you, to me as an expat. So I was in need of a new phone. And I had been trying to figure out, how do I get a new phone? Of course, listening to everybody, I'm thinking I need to buy it from Amazon or someplace and then have someone bring it for me, bring it over. But that is not easy to do. There's a sister who's flying out today, but she has her plans. And I was asking her, would you, because when I ordered not the phone, but I also was looking for a camera to vlog with. And Amazon is like, we're going to need someone to sign. I never heard of that before. For this, maybe because of whatever it is I was buying. And it's difficult if somebody is traveling for you to tell them you need to be home to receive this. You know what I mean? It's like imposing, and I don't like to impose on anyone. So I was at the mall yesterday and I had my list of little things that I needed. Of course, after I've been to the bank and took care of business. I went to one store where I had bought my previous phone. And then I asked her, because I've been researching, I have an iPhone and I also have an Android. My iPhone, I use mostly to go online. I take pictures. The camera is not so good anymore. There's always a lot of background noise when I use it, so I don't record with it anymore. So I have been wanting to get a new phone and or a camera. And I was thinking I need to do both. But when I went to the place where I bought this one, which is an Honor brand. It's a Chinese brand, and I'm not in love with this phone at all. And I've been waiting to upgrade. And she said they didn't have the newer model. She said, "Oh, if you go across the the hall, yeah, and then you can go to that place, then they carry the S model where she had the A model. The A model, and I'm like, what is the difference between the A model and the S model? She said it's the camera, the quality. And this is why I most wanted the phone to have a really sharp camera. So I went over. But the reason I want to talk to you about it, not that you need to know about my, why I bought the phone, but it was more about the experience. Okay. So I go there. None of these salespeople spoke English, right? Of course, they could pick me out of the crowd as an English speaker. But then we started talking. I'm like, do you have the S model? Yes, yes, we have three left. And I said, well, how much do they go for? He tells me the price. And of course, I'm looking, online to see if the price he's giving me is comparable. And it is very comparable. So I'm like, well, I always ask, do you have any specials going? And do you have any rebates or anything like that? And then he said, oh, let me see how much I can give it to you for. And one thing to know that when you go to a store, I think they really asked me that at the mall. If you are paying in efectivo means cash. I'll never forget when I first, during one of my visits, and I went to Reba Smith, and then this young lady said, efectivo o tarjeta? I'm like, efectivo? I didn't know what that was. And then she said, oh, cash or card? I mean, she was a bit irritated. I had the same sigh of irritation in Paris, when they transfer something to you in French and I'm trying to see what they're trying to say, and then they get irritated and they say it to you in English. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever had that happen to you? Yeah. But anyway, so if you pay in cash, so you're telling me this phone cost about over $1,000, right? And then you think I'm going to carry $1,000 around? Like, no, no. So you end up paying the 7% impuesto, which is tax. But so if you want to buy something that is like in the hundreds, if you have the cash, you don't pay the taxes. That's the way it is here. So I thought about it and I thought about it and I'm thinking, okay, I can't really have someone to bring it to me. I might as well bite the bullet and get it. And your phone or computer and everything that you use, they have a time limit. You get to a point you have to upgrade. But the whole experience, was very jovial and it was respectful. I'm haggling, right? I'm asking, what else do you have? And I'm like, if you lot of discounts, I'm trying to see anything that he could give me. But I'm thinking if I was someone who was totally out of my element, did not speak a lick of Spanish. First of all, I don't think the experience would have been so low key. And I mean, you would still be smiling, you would pay full price because you wouldn't be asking for the discount and such. And then he said, okay, but I'll give you the case for free. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's good because they're like $15, $20. I'm like, okay, what else you got? What else are you going to put to throw in? So we agreed on a price, and then he's in there, and then on the sign he says, "Oh, you can use a bank transfer." So they had Banismo, they had Banco General, they had a couple of other banks, and I'm thinking, I had just made transfer into my account, and it was time to pay the rent. I was like, no, let me give you my credit card. But after I got pickpocketed, I had to implement enhanced security measures so that when he swiped the card and he's like, nope, it doesn't let me. He swiped it 3 times, it didn't. So I'm like, good job, Bank of America. So whatever I'm paying for, it's working. And then I realized it's because they automatically locked the card. So all the time I'm communicating with them and I'm like, okay, ¿qué está pasando? And I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. It's because of fraude. Fraude is fraud. He's like, oh, yeah, entiendo. I know. So I said, can I borrow what is your Wi-Fi password? La contraseña. You have to know how to say that. So they get me the password and I went on my bank and of course they say, do you recognize this charge? And you say yes. So I was able to proceed with the transaction because I could communicate. And I can't even imagine for me to have to constantly pick up my phone. And I know some of you do it. I'm just such an impatient kind of person that it would really get to me that, the scan and everything have to translate. Oh, I've seen people do that, just do that and then throw it in somebody's face. Some people, they may want your money. They want you to buy what they're serving, but they do not like it having you throw a phone in their faces for them to read what you're trying to say. Because, if they see you come in with the suitcase, they think you're in the transition program that Panama has with COPA, where people can stay here for 8+ hours in transit to another place. And you see a lot of people like that at the mall. Yeah, they want your money. But when you are a local, I think you need to get your mindset that you want to get to a point where you don't have to do that. And I know some of you are trying to do it, and I applaud it. Now, I'm not talking about this because I speak conversational Spanish online. This is something that I enjoy doing, and I really respect the ladies who have stuck with it because I have had several people start these classes and run for the hills, whether they feel it's too hard or maybe they don't like the way I teach it, and I wish they would, tell me that. And I think I'm pretty low key, but you're here to learn, right? I've had people tell me, well, maybe I can go to a different section of that. But anyway, let's go back to the experience that I had. The other thing that happened yesterday is that now that I realize, this phone is really nice. It's the screen is great. It's the right size. I always like to have a wider phone. Then my iPhone is pretty nice, right? But it is so old. I can't even tell you how old this thing is. But these two phones, if I am anywhere there's Wi-Fi, I can go online. I cannot do WhatsApp because you have to have your SIM card or eSIM. I guess I don't have eSIM. But this one is the one that has my local SIM card, meaning my Panama number is in this one, right? But if I'm at home, I do my banking on this one because usually you try not to access your account on a public Wi-Fi. Don't do that. Even though yesterday I had to just check it and then immediately, okay, no, we're not talking to you. Be nosy. And there's so much AI included in these phones, it is scary, okay? It's scary. But anyway, so when I finished, he did the phone for me, the transaction went through, I was happy with it. Then I said, okay, in my mind, I'm thinking I still need, I've been hearing some really strange noises coming out of the kitchen. Yes, today. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. I need to go back there and check it. Hope it's nothing. But I'm still thinking that I need to get a camera, for vlogging. So I was like, okay, where in Panama can I find camera? I'm thinking Panafoto, right? And Panafoto I think there is one outside the parking lot in Albrook. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm going over there. And then I'm like, but if this phone has such a nice camera, I wonder if I could get like a small joystick or tripod type thing. Because one of the reasons that I wanted to have the camera is that when I was using this phone and I'm on a bus or I'm walking and it is shaking. And this poor sister said to me, she's like, is there any way you can stabilize the camera? I feel nauseous. And I felt bad. But again, it's just a way to give me another outlet to communicate with you guys. But you know what I said? I am not going to stress myself over this YouTube. So I said, if I could find something that could hold the phone, maybe I can try vlogging with it and see if I don't have to invest another $500+ to get a camera. No. So he said, oh, this thing. And I'm like, oh, that looks kind of complicated. And then he had a model and he showed me the model. It didn't look too complicated because I'm not very technical. So I said, oh, okay. And how much is that? Now, this one says $25 plus ITBMS, which is like the taxes. And then there was, by that time, El Jefe, the boss, comes in and he's on the phone. Now there are like 3 or 4 guys, in that store. And then my guy, who I've been dealing with, and I said, okay, are you going to give it to me for free? I'm haggling, right? And then he's like, let me see how much I can get it for you. So he's like, Jefe, how much you think I could give her? And he said it's $28. It says 25 here. He said it's $28. How much do you think you can let her have it for? And I said I'm looking at the Jefe. I said, so he'll be like that? And I acabo de comprar. I just bought a phone for so much money. And then he said, oh, 15. He said $15. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take it. My point is, speaking the language gives you an advantage in how you negotiate, how you connect with the people. I always tell my students, the best way for you to learn Spanish or any language is to immerse yourself. If it's not an active immersion, like you are living in a community where nobody else speaks English, you are forced to speak Spanish, that is total immersion, right? But you have to do self-immersion. Like I tell the students, I said, keep the TV on. Even if you're not watching it, you're training your ears to hear it. turn the radio on. Well, we don't have a lot of radio stations, I mean, that we utilize, but you can go online and you can have online radio in Spanish, right? Watch the news, right? You're gonna connect pictures, what they're saying, so you can figure what they're talking about. You watch the news in Spanish on your laptop, on your phone, right? The other thing you could do also is I tell them, you need to become like an Inspector Gadget. As you go around, look around you, read everything you can, take pictures and look it up. And let me tell you, it's not easy for most people because, again, I feel that in this temporada, in this season of life, a lot of us feel we just want everything to be relaxed. We don't want anything that is going to be challenging. Hate to break it to you. If you commit to learning Spanish or any language, it's going to challenge you. And you have to make the decision up here that you're going to embrace the challenge and by golly, you're going to get it. Like I did when I went back to grad school in my 50s. My brain was asleep for 20 plus years. I thought I was going to fail. My brain was asleep. I had to hit it and wake it up. First semester was awful. You know, I hadn't been in school for so long. Everything was different. The way they took attendance, the way you register, the way they give assignment. Oh my God. And I was in groups with 20-year-olds. It was hard. But you know what? I said to myself, ugh, no one asked me to do this. I made the decision, therefore, I'm going to get it. First semester was second semester got easier. I have students who have started taking classes with me, and after the first or second class, they just go incognito. But they never say, well, Miss Maggie, some of them would say, I have too much going on. I can't concentrate. And it's a valid reason. And again, it's not, because all the stuff you're doing to prepare to come to Panama, learning the language should sit right up there too. Learning the language shouldn't be something you put to the side and you say, oh, when I get there, I'll have more time to devote to it. Are you really devoting time to learning Spanish? I know some of you are, and some of you are not, because you are too comfortable with the Google Translate and other apps. And I'm not saying this to judge you, sis. I'm just saying, as I shared my experience with you, how much um, more pleasant, more comfortable, more rewarding my experience is dealing with the day-to-day today. Sis, I don't have any stress or anxiety to go anywhere, to go see a doctor, talk to an attorney, talk to a store person, anyone. I don't have any stress. And you might say, well, I'm not stressed either. I can just call somebody and ask them to come and help me. Okay, I get that. I get it. And I am just sharing with you how learning the language has made my life that much richer here. Because when you speak to people who have been abroad and have had to return home, if it's not because they're sick, God forbid, if it's not because they're missing family, if it's not because of responsibilities that they have, if it's not because they really, really miss home and cannot make it overseas, language sometimes it may not be the main reason, but it is an associated reason. Like I told you, this person, this family, I think they were in Ecuador for and it's a younger family, and of course, different circumstances. And, they had the kids in school, and of course, the kids are fluent now because, young people learn languages a lot quicker than you and I. And they finally ended up going back. They went back for family reasons, but in his sharing his reasons for uprooting his family again because they had sold a home, sold everything, and gone to Ecuador. And then now, and they had bought property. Now they had to close that. And you know what? Like I said in a previous video, I admire people who can just get up and go. I can travel easy, but I like to have my spot that I can go back to. So uprooting here, uprooting there, I don't do good with that. Know thyself, right? So what are some other ways that my language skills have made my life easier and richer here in Panama? The buying the phone, I explained to you that I got a good deal because I was able to haggle. And I haggle wherever I go. I go to San Felipe, they tell me a price, and I'm like, the other day I was telling, I don't know, was telling my friends when I was doing the live, I'm looking at some limes. No, I'm not in Reba Smith. At Reba Smith, I can't haggle because the price is what it is. But if you said to me, I said, ¿cuántos limones por $1? How many lemons for $1? And then he said, 5. I said, 6. He said, 5. I said, 6. He said, okay, 6. Listen. And of course, you're going to say, come on, Maggie, you're not that cheap. No, I'm not. It's the experience. Because haggling, as when you go to Africa, they tell you, when they give you a price, they expect you to haggle. Because when they see you coming, they're like, oh, double, triple for her. And if you don't know to say, I don't think so, you're going to give me that price or I walk away. And that's why a lot of people would take a local with them in Africa to go buy something. And the same thing happens in Kenya and other places, right? But if you say, oh, I don't need to haggle, I'll just pay it. Do you, sis? But I enjoy the experience. It's more about the exchange. It's more about the connecting. Because if they tell me $20 and I whip out the $20 and I give it, they see you as a foreigner, right? But if you want to be seen as a local, I'm going to haggle. And then one of the things that kind of helps you with the connection is to develop those relationships with the same people. So when I go to San Felipe, I go to the same, I'm alternate between two. So they see me coming, they smile, and you start making small conversation, como está, todo bien, right? That's how, and I know my friend Greta in Mexico is really good at doing that. You want to talk to people. And when my students say, they said something to someone and then their eyes light up and they say, oh my God, you're learning Spanish. Oh, I feel so good. I feel so good. So for food, I haggle, right? I go to the movies very often and I don't look for the subtitle. I was talking to one of my students and I was telling her about that I went to see Moana. And then she's like, oh, did you like it? I said, I love it. It's a sweet movie. I'm at that age as an old woman. I don't want to watch heavy stuff. I don't watch those movies about Black people and everything they've gone through. It's like I'm re-injuring myself. I don't do that. But I like the easygoing, funny. Yes, I don't need anything heavy, anything gory. I don't want anything that mimics what we're going through right now. I have enough of that. I don't want any of that. Right? So she said, did you like it? I said, oh, yeah, I loved it. And she said, I'm going to see it. Do they have subtitle? I'm like, stop it. Don't ask for the subtitle. Go watch the movie in Spanish and see, especially if you're learning Spanish, and see if you can follow the story. You don't need to understand every single word. But if somebody said to you after you've watched it, what was the movie about? Not, did he say that? Did she say that? No. When little Moana was singing, you didn't understand every single thing she's saying. But it was about family and history and what is it? That her family ancestry, and it's always fighting for the land, for the family, for her, her people. Those kind of things I love. But go to the movies. As a jubilado, you pay $350 for a movie compared to what you pay over there. Go sit in there. That's immersion. Not everything needs to be comfortable for you. Are you okay being a little bit, feeling a bit discomfort because you don't understand everything? But if you see, do you see it as a stepping stone that this is my situation now, but I'm determined to progress to a point where I'm really, I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like, wow, I really get it. And it's so rewarding to me. But of course, if you know my story, I've been around Spanish a long time. So you have got to have the long-term view. What else do I do? I watch TV almost every day. I watch the World Cup, but I'm not watching an American TV. I don't have one of these things that the people have. I don't know what they call it, a stick or something. I watch TVN. Everything is in Spanish. The news, the debates, the sports, everything, right? That's what I want. All right. The other thing that I had experience with is when I got pickpocketed. I had to go to the police station, and I told that story in that video. Maybe I'll put a screenshot of it there. That how I went to one place and then the gentleman's like, "No, this is not here." Then he called two policemen to come, and they said, "Come with me." So I was in the car with two policemen. Didn't know where I was going, what was going on, and they took us. They took me to a place, and they said, "Okay, this is the." When they got there, the guy said, "No, it's not here." And I'm like, "This is your city, your department, and you don't know how." Oh my gosh. But anyway, we got in the car, in their car. Was it a police car? I don't remember. And then we went to another place where we had to have the police report. And I sat there and I had to tell this woman word for word what happened, the timeline, and it was a process. I had to go there twice. It was a process. But I sat there and I did it because I needed that big report to take to the bank so I could get my money back. And I did. And I did. I didn't have to call someone to say, "Would you come for me and translate for me?" Then some people like me, if you were to ask me, I would say, "Oh yeah, sure, if I have time." But someone else might charge you. Right? I went with the sister. I didn't expect her to, and then she gave me something, and I'm like, you didn't have to, because I don't help people just for money. I don't do that, right? So that was really, really rewarding for me to be able to do that. So I'm just saying that sometimes not knowing the language, and I've heard the book sisters talk about that because the lady was in the hospital. I said the book sisters like them, although I don't understand how the book sisters go, but anyway, it could be dangerous in a situation where you don't know what's being said to you. You could say yes to what you're not supposed to be saying yes to or no to, you know what I mean? I see people in a lot of, not a lot, but some of my Facebook or WhatsApp groups, and they well, can anybody recommend a doctor, blah, blah, blah. And almost always, does he or she speaks English? And of course, the doctors want your business. A lot of them are bilingual. But as that Mrs. Brooks said, when you're in the hospital, the doctor may speak English, but the nurse, the technician, the lab tech, the cleaner, they don't. So for you to come and expect them to cater to you to speak your language is really disingenuous, right? Does that make you think of the people back home that you used to tell them, well, this is America, you need to speak English? Mm. Has anyone said that to you here? Maybe they're too polite to say it to your face, but I've heard it said in those Facebook groups. Yeah. Of course, there was this person who posted something. I'm coming to retire in Panama. I want this much, like I think Patty addressed that. I want a house that is close to shopping, walkable. I'm in a wheelchair, blah, 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 first floor, and I want it for 650. 650 a month. That's one thing. But then this person in another post said, and I have no intention of learning the language. I want to be somewhere where they speak English. I'm like, oh my God. Guys, come on. That should not be your expectation. And if you're thinking it, don't post it. It's people judge you. Don't do that. Okay. So it could be dangerous when you're in a situation when it's healthcare related and you do not understand what is being said to you in hospitals, clinics. Also, as we in this age are thinking of growing old here, and I am compiling this group of places and caregivers, that you can call. If you have a nurse come to your home, I can almost guarantee you she won't speak English. How do you communicate? How do you communicate, right? If you have a live-in person, and I know one of our sisters had a live-in for her mom, she said she didn't speak, but they found a way to communicate. Yeah, it's gonna happen. But that's not a fluent, easy, conversation. I mean, you could say, come here, do this, do that, but can you have somebody in your house for 24/7 and conversing? And I don't know about you, but that would be a bit difficult for me. So as we want to be here long term, learning the language for all the reasons I talked about should be a priority, sis. And I am not saying this because I teach in Spanish. I teach conversational basic. And I always tell my students, once I give you the gist and you feel you have enough and you want to say, I had one student, she's like, I think I got it and I can do Duolingo and do my reading and stuff. I think I got it. And she got off. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. But if you got lost, do you know how to ask for help? Can you tell someone your address where you live? Can you tell them who your doctor is to call for you? Mm. So, and again, it may not be of interest to you, but I just thought yesterday when I was able to get this thing for $15 and get a discount, and of course, that wasn't going to break the bank, and that is not the point. The point is the experience, the experience. And for me, I feel like it doesn't matter if this doesn't work out for me in Panama and I go somewhere else, I'm probably going to always go to a place where they speak either English or Spanish. I have no desire to learn Portuguese. I have no desire to learn Thai, German. It's a decision that I make for myself, right? But if that is not a major thing to you and it's not a problem, well, then I've wasted my time talking to you. But just know that I feel, and again, I always say this is the way I feel. I don't expect everybody to feel the same way I do, but I feel that learning a language is a good way for you to connect with the people. It shows your commitment to the place, to the culture. It shows a certain amount of respect for the people, and it enhances and opens your mind to other things that to say that I speak this language, but now I'm moderately fluent in this one. I think it's a win-win. It's a win-win. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go right now. I just thought I would just share that. Oh my God, just right before it's time for my class. I have my Spanish class tonight, and I will see you in the next video. All right, au revoir, à la prochaine, bye.